It's Saturday morning. It's 10 o'clock. So this must be to 70 and beyond. I'm doing something a little different this morning since it's New Year's. Happy New Year's to all of you. When I was in my, I would say like 23, 24, 20, somewhere in that range, after I'd gotten my divorce from my first husband, I lived in an apartment complex. And I became the social director for the apartment complex. And it was a very active social type of apartments. That was really big back in the early 70s. Anyway, so I made breakfast for 100 people just about every Sunday morning. Very few did I miss out. And a tradition started back then that I have continued on New Year's morning. I do it sometimes throughout the rest of the year too, but usually it's definitely something I do every New Year's morning. So I'm going to give you a little demonstration while we talk about what is important and how we can jumpstart our 2022 year. Okay, so let me see if I can put this down. I'm going to talk okay, there it is. Okay, so what we have here is the ham from Christmas Day. I cut it up into little chunks. I brown, like my wine. Everything goes better with wine. Anyway, so I chop it up in little, and then I have onion and red peppers, and I usually put mushrooms in it, and this time I used green onion. What else? I put celery. I put celery in as well. And then I add, depending on how much I'm making, I add 1 or 2 cans of cream of mushroom. I have 1 cream of celery and 1 cream of mushroom soup. I have done it when I made the soup myself. This time I just use cans. But you make it so that there's a nice sauce. And the reason I'm talking about this is because when we start a beginning of a new year, we all make New Year's resolutions. Well, guess what? By February 1st, we've forgotten what those resolutions are, and we go back to our old ways. So today, part of my tradition is on New Year's Day that I write my vision for the year. So I want to talk to you a little bit about that. So when you write a vision, everybody likes to set goals. Well, guess what? Goals won't work unless you follow through, right? And the way to follow through is to have a vision that's what the year is going to look like at the end of the year. So we're just going to let this. Okay, now the secret ingredient to this is curry powder, and lots of it. And then you put this on top of eggs, English muffins. It's absolutely, absolutely yummy. Okay, well, while I'm finishing cooking this, I'm going to put this up. So when you write a vision, you want to think about, first of all, the 4 areas of your life. You want to think about your health. So close your eyes and imagine if you were the perfect specimen of health, whatever that looks like for you. Do you want to gain weight? Do you want to lose weight? Do you want to change your diet? What is it? What healthy habits? Are you going to exercise more? Are you going to change the way you exercise? What is it? And so you imagine that you're in perfect health, and then you write down what it is that you're going to do to make that happen. The second area of your life is relationships. So at the end of 2022, what does those relationships look like? Are there relationships you need or want? Maybe it's a new person in your life. Maybe it's new friendships. Maybe it's somebody you need to let go of in your life. You know, when we let go of somebody that is draining us, we actually increase the energy that's coming to us. And I've had to do that a couple times in my life. It's not easy, especially if it happens to be a family member or something like that, but it's something that you need to make space for the right positive energy and for the right people to show up. And so you imagine what that looks like. Close your eyes and just say, okay, I've got the perfect relationships. What does that look like? And then you write it down. The next thing you look at is your time and money freedom. If you won a gazillion lottery, what would you do with your time and your money? Would you start a foundation? Would you volunteer? Would you build a bigger house? Would you go on a 365-day cruise? And don't let any of your circumstances stop you from dreaming. Pretend you're 7 years old and anything is possible. What does that look like? Close your eyes and imagine what that looks like. Then, the last one is your career and creative expression. So what is it? Maybe for me, I'm looking at my legacy. I'm looking for what it is that my new nonprofit and foundation is going to do to help me create a legacy where I'm helping 30 million people be better prepared. So what does that look like for you? What is your, if you're young, and what is it that you want to accomplish by the end of the year? Close your eyes and imagine that it's already happening. It's already done. So here's the secret about visions. You cannot go to a vision, which is why a lot of times goals don't work. You have to come from it. You have to imagine it's already happened. So it's already December 31st, 2022, and everything, the year has passed. And what have you accomplished? And what is it that your vision wants you to accomplish? And the more that you can see that, and the more that you can imagine that, the better the chances are for God or the universe to provide for you. So this is almost ready. This is so good. Then you write it down. What does it look like? Maybe it's a new hobby you want to start. Maybe it's someplace you want to travel to in addition to your career. Or maybe you're ready to retire. What does that retirement look like? For me, retirement doesn't look like sitting in a wheelchair, in a rocking chair. So what does that look like? And then write it down. Then I want you to sit down and I want you to start the vision with, I'm so happy and grateful that. And whatever that looks like. And you write down about your health. You can only take on one or two of these different sectors of your life at one time. So prioritize it. Which ones are the first ones you want to tackle first? Or maybe the first half of the year. Then you start with, I'm so happy and grateful, and you write it out. And the more detail you put into it. Like, for example, when I did one of my retreats in Mexico, this woman she had just moved to Las Vegas and she wanted to get her home. She was living in a rental and she started writing down what that home looked like. So she described the kitchen. She has an RV, so she described what the RV space looked like. She described the bedrooms, the living room. She described all of it, her craft room. She described all of it. And every time she would say she thought she was done, I'd ask her more questions. So what does that look like? So when you are writing down your vision, write it down and start it with, I'm so happy and grateful that it is December 31st, 2022, and this is what has happened. Then I want you to end it with something that says this or something better still, because we really don't know what the universe has in mind for us or God. So you write all that down. Then what you do is you sensorize it. This is the secret. This is the secret sauce. This is like my curry secret sauce. Okay. What does it, close your eyes, and what does it smell like? What does it taste like? What does it look like? What does it sound like? And what does it feel like? And write those down. Then what I want you to do is I want you to take that vision and I want you to break it up into, maybe you do 6 months, maybe you do 90 days, maybe you do a month, whatever it is, but break it up into pieces of what you're going to accomplish to make that vision happen on December 31st. Then you break it up to a week. So it's January, the end of January. What do I want to achieve by the end of January? What does my vision look like at the end of January? Then you break it up by a day. And guess what? That becomes the vision for the end of the day. What do you want the end of the day to look like? What do you have to do to create the vision for the end of the month, for the 6 months, for the year? What do you have to accomplish? And that becomes your goals. That becomes where you're going to go. And that way you are stepping into your vision. You're living your life by design and not by default. Now, what happens when things go wrong? Because they will. Those are nothing more but course corrections. That's all they are. They're not failures. They're not disasters. And I have a hard time remembering this myself. So if you have a hard time remembering it, just play this back again or write it down. A failure or a problem is just a course correction. Okay. At the end of the day, you now can look back and say, oh, look, I stepped into my vision this much further. So what are you doing? You're designing your life. You're not living by default. I have learned this over and over. Another key secret to this is that you have crystalline moments all day long, that are guiding you into where you want to go. So rather than listen to the ego, you listen to the inner voice. You know, I've said this before. When we are listening to our inner voice, God is speaking to us. When we pray, we're speaking to him. So what is it that your inner voice, a crystalline moment is, crystalline means sparkly or clear. So crystalline moments are moments of clarity. And as you are going through the day and you're having to make some kind of a little, it could be an itsy bitsy little decision, but it's your instincts are telling you which way to go. And if you have to take a little more time to think about it, do that. Do the pros and the cons. But the bottom line is, if you listen to here, then your vision on December 31st of 2022 will come true. So, recap. 4 aspects of your life. What do you want? Your health, your relationships, your time and money freedom, and your career and creative expression to look like. Write those down. Then create your vision. I'm so happy and grateful for that. And you end it with this or something better still. And go into detail. Then sensorize it. What is it? Go through the senses and write that all down. And then do that for the year, for 6 months, for 90 days, however you want to break it up. And then do it for a month, a week, and a day. And I can assure you, you'll have a different life on December 31st. It'll be the version that you want rather than somebody else. Okay. Happy New Year. I'm going to have some wonderful, let me see if I can show you the curry. It's up here. It is so delicious on eggs. It's so, anybody I've ever fed this, even people that don't like curry, love it. So anyway, so that's my tradition. Happy New Year. And I hope 2022, you're designing it the way that you want it. All right, my friends, I'll talk to you next week on To 70 and Beyond. Mwah.